Cross my heart and hope to die. Welcome to my dark side.
Our story continues with the Saiyan Broly looking more powerful as ever. After achieving his legendary Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 transformation, the Saiyan was at the height of his strength. In a short span of time, Broly had fully tamed the Golden Uzaru, allowing him to fully unlock and access all of its concealed power and abilities. This step was the most crucial step for his growth potential, as now Broly had attained the Great Ape Special Ability, which is its 15 times multiplier. This meant that Broly can now increase any past and every future transformation 15 times its usual stats. While using this special ability, his strength, speed, agility, stamina and intelligence have now been boosted 15 times what it initially was. However, this ability isn't suited for long-format fights, as the 15 times increase would only last for 1 hour before the Golden Uzaru went back to sleep, waiting to raise again the next day. Back on the battlefield, Jiren was intimidated for sure, but he wasn't scared, having not understood the scope of Broly's powers yet. Even though he does not have the ability to appraise Broly's strength, abilities and stats, he still felt that his training with the angel Margarita had made him strong enough to defeat him along with the other Saiyan. Jiren naturally had a cocky nature, and that had only increased due to the fact that he was far stronger than what he was during the Tournament of Power. Margarita had allowed him to train in the angel's very own Room of Time, the exact one that Frieza had stumbled upon back in the Dragon Ball Super manga. So you must be the one that Fool Liquor warned the gods about. Having felt the aura resonating off your body, I can tell that you're the strongest of the group. Having heard Jiren's response, Vegeta got a little bit irritated, and with an inside voice, he muttered to himself. Strongest my ass. If I showed that fool my Omni form, he would retract that statement, but as it stands, I haven't fully mastered it. 3 minutes is all I can manage right now, so I can't afford to waste it on fools like you. Much bigger fishes are out there for us to fry. I must say, your strength is quite impressive, said Jiren as he intensely glared back at Broly. We're uniquely different Saiyans based on blood attributes, but quite similar in other aspects. It intrigues me to see that another mortal alongside myself was able to attain strength even greater than the gods without the use of divine energy. As far as I can tell, we are the only mortals alive to have ever achieved such feats. Now it's time to see which of us is the strongest. Vegeta, on the other hand, was slowly starting to see through Jiren's facade. Having observed Jiren's persona, he spoke out loud. The atmosphere has changed. I've never seen Jiren talk this much either. The Jiren I know only talks to a person when he recognizes their capabilities, so for him to be talking this much, it is clear that he considers Broly to be a threat. However, Broly, who had recently achieved his Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 transformation, wasn't feeling so chatty as the rest. His ki lashed out dangerously, while gaze was fixated on Jiren. In an instant, before Jiren could even blink his eyelids, Broly was up close in his face, staring him dead in the eyes. What? Said Jiren as a defensive aura started to cover his entire body from head to toe, while he tried to create some distance from them both by jumping back. However, before he could even make a single step, Broly had launched a planet-shattering blow, sending the Pride Trooper crashing to the ground. Broly's Limit Breaker speed and strength was multiversal, as before Jiren's defensive barrier was fully complete, his fist had managed to power through and made contact with Jiren's physical body milliseconds before the barrier had even started form. The force from the punch was so stifling, it quickly became transparent to the Saiyans and gods that Broly was an entirely different being. Not even Broly himself had a grasp of how strong he is, as he could be seen observing his close fist, giving an impression to Ash's subscribers that he had held back quite a significant amount of his strength in that last attack. When Jiren's body collided with the arena surface, it created an enormous crater, large and deep enough that 75% of the entire arena surface was almost useless, as the only thing that could be seen below separately from the remaining 25% surface was the vacuum of time and space itself. The gods were stunned out of their minds, as they've never witnessed such strength before. They have never seen the angels, the Grand Priest nor the Omni King showcase this level of power, due to the fact that for millions of years, there has never been a threat of this magnitude. In all their time of being alive as gods of destruction, no being neither deity nor mortal had ever displayed this level of power before. They have only ever heard of one mortal with such strength, and that mortal was Zarama, the first mortal to be created, but he was imprisoned millennia before they were appointed the prestige title of God of Destruction. "One hit," said Ivan. "That's all it took for that mortal to defeat him." "This simply is not possible," said Belmod, who was confused out of his mind. "What is it with these Saiyans and their bottomless powers? It's the same as the Tournament of Power. No matter the corner they're backed in, they always manage to achieve some monstrous ability." Not even the Saiyans could anticipate this, as they themselves had expected Jiren to be more of a challenge. Almost immediately after that initial attack, the smoke and dust clears, and Jiren could be seen with a vexed look on his face.
"It's not possible! I cannot lose! I won't accept defeat! In all my effort, all I've struggled to achieve, all of it will have been pointless!"
His shirt was completely worn off, as his entire body portrayed a look of fatigue and damage. Suddenly, the atmosphere got quiet, as the only thing heard from the rumbles was Jiren yellowing out in rage. His ki unveiled a reddish aura, as it could be seen and felt outside the far corners of the universe. Just like a vacuum, all the energy that was radiating above the arena surface was quickly drawn in by the Pride Trooper, thus creating a blast pack with a concentrated ki in the palm of his hands. Immediately after the gathering of the energy assimilation was complete, he fired the blast directly at Brawly, who for the first time ever could be seen smiling at the sight of Jiren's despair and frustration. Brawly was confident, and that level of confidence could be seen and heard in his battle roar, as with just a simple wave of his hand, Jiren's blast was instantly cancelled out. Every single trace of his ki was completely eviscerated from the atmosphere. "But how?" said Jiren. "Where did this monster come from?" However, before Jiren could utter his next words, Brawly vanishes before his very eyes, and in a span of millisecond, he instantly appears directly behind a completely caught off guard Jiren. Brawly was moving so fast that not even the Saiyans nor the gods could detect him. As the Pride Trooper tries his best to turn around in time, he thought to himself. "His speed, it's off the charts. I have never seen such speed in my entire life, not even from the Angel Margarita." But yet again, just as before, Jiren is instantly punched straight in the face by the alarmingly powerful Brawly, immediately sending the warrior flying in agony as he crash-landed into one of the many surrounding crumbed mountains. The Saiyans, on the other hand, had never once anticipated that Brawly's limit breaker form could be this great. He was making Jiren look like a complete weakling, as poor Jiren had not once managed to land a single blow. Things were starting to go left for Jiren, as the difference in power was clear to see by everyone. "Poor little Jiren," said Vegeta. "Where is that bravado you had in the Tournament of Power? I was dying to show you my true strength, but it seems that it would be a complete waste of my time. You're already done." "Kakarot, Gohan," said Vegeta. "Let's finish this, we can afford any more surprises." The Saiyans realized that they needed to handle the situation before things started to take a turn for the worst. It was at that moment, the Saiyans had fully transitioned into their most powerful forms. Goku transforms into his Ultra Instinct 3 form, while he intentionally left out his Kaioken times 100, simply because he didn't want to place all of his eggs in one basket. The harsh temperature and aura that was wrapped around the Saiyans' boy was quite frightening to the gods, as they had never once thought that there was an even greater level beyond Ultra Instinct. Vegeta, not wanting to be outdone, would have followed after Goku by transforming into his Ultra Ego 3 form as well. This came as more of a shock to the gods, as Vegeta had completely mastered and dominated destruction energy. "He had achieved it," said Champa. "No, I'm sensing that this might be a new and improved transformation that's even greater in every attribute, far beyond Beerus's Akari form." Champa was taken aback by the Saiyan's strength, and with an inside voice he spoke. "Brother, what the hell did you and your angel teach these Saiyans?" However, the Saiyans weren't done making their impression, as Gohan, who was already in his strongest form, had released his hidden potential in order to use 100% of his powers. The gods stood helplessly, as this was the first time they were completely outmatched and dominated. Suddenly, to their surprise, 4 great beam lights shoot up out of the planet's stratosphere as the different aura colors light up the darkest depth of space. Our story continues with the Saiyans looking more powerful as ever, Mid-fight they had decided to fully transform in what was believed to be their most powerful forms. Ever since the catastrophic battle with the vicious angels, Korn and Kusu, these forms had never seen the light of day. However, that streak was broken today as the radiant aura resonating off the Saiyans was almost impossible to ignore. The increase in strength was nothing to joke about as their ki lashes out in hunger searching the universe for its next meal. However, unfortunately for the gods, tasting destruction energy is all that's on its mind. A sense of superiority began to show on the Saiyans' face as they had managed to shock the once overconfident gods back into hiding. "These monsters," said Sidra. "How is this possible? How can a few monkeys gain this level of strength? I just don't understand why we are having such a hard time with these mortals." "I don't know," said Belmod, "but I'm not giving up without putting up a fight. I would rather die fighting if that is to be my faith." "Agree," said Ivan. "However, I'm not just going to give up my life, so we need to fight strategically to have even a small chance." However, unbeknownst to the gods, Liquor wasn't feeling their little discussion anymore. He was frustrated and that frustration had clouded his mind, causing him to act reckless. Suddenly, from the far corner of the arena, Liquor was sighted, with his foot planted firmly to the ground. All 9 of his tails hovered over his head like a barrage of cannon ready to be lit. "That stupid fool," said Gin. "Isn't he the one who is always telling us not to act reckless around these Saiyans? Now look at him breaking his own rule. Do he really think he can take them on alone?"
Please join us on Patreon for more episode and new series weeks in advance.
Before Ark had a chance to call out to him, Liquor unleashed a barrage of ki blasts directly in the direction of the Saiyans. The force of the blast could be felt and heard far and wide as Liquor continued to yell out in anger. Faster and faster as the blast condenses in laser-like projectiles while each rapidly targets the Saiyans. This sudden action has forced the elite Saiyans to walk forward slowly while proceeding to use their very own techniques to evade Liquor's ki blast. Goku in his Ultra Instinct 3 form proceeds to effortlessly dodge all incoming blasts while he continues to walk forward at a gradual pace. Vegeta on the other hand had decided to use a very simple approach. To the god's surprise, he proceeded to walk right into every blast. However, the key to this strategy was his destruction energy. Even if the blast managed to come in the parameter of Vegeta's body, it would have been completely Hakai. Gohan took a similar approach, but it was unique to his style of fighting. While he slowly walked towards the gods, each blast that targets him was completely slapped away, sending them to explode far away from the battleground. "How terrifying," said Champa. "Look at these monsters. Liquor death beams don't seem to bother them in the slightest." But before Champa could utter his next words, out of nowhere, surprisingly to all the gods, he was punched directly in the face by Beast Gohan. The force from that punch was no joke as the god of destruction was sent flying with no way of stopping himself. However, before Champa's body could collide with the arena surface, both Gin, Sidra, Belmod and Ark charged after him in hopes of stopping him, due to the fact that the location where Champa was spiraling towards had no surface, and if they don't catch him, he will continue to fall towards the darkest depth of space. After a quick chase, Gin had managed to grab a hold of Champa's hand and with a slap to the face, Champa had regained consciousness. Suddenly, to all 4 gods' surprise, Gohan was coming fast. His speed was blinding as in an instant, he easily managed to catch up with the gods. While in mid-air, Gohan proceeded to launch his attack. At that precise moment, all the excess energy that was flowing out in the universe was being drawn into Gohan's Masenko. Signature move, with his 2 hands placed above his 4 dead, he proceeded to charge up his Masenko blast. In less than a second, Gohan's blast was fully charged up and ready to be fired. The gods would have realized that they had no chances of escape and decided to rely on Sidra's specific ability. "Sidra," said Ark, "what are you waiting for? Do it now." However, it was at that moment that Gohan had fired his Masenko. The blast traveled at an alarming speed as in less than nanosecond, the blast had made impact. But, to Gohan's surprise, his blast had collided with a huge green-colored globe barrier created by Sidra. Sidra was considered to be one of the best defensive fighters among the gods of destruction thanks to this special ability. However, to create power from nothing, one has to give up something essential of theirs, and in that case, that essential thing was his life energy. "What?" said Gohan as the split-second activation of a barrier had caught him off guard. Not bad, but let's see if you can keep it up with me at this level. Almost instantly, Gohan had completely turned up the heat by increasing the power of his Masenko, which later started to break Sidra's barrier. Suddenly, to the god's surprise, the barrier began to crack and Sidra was starting to feel drained due to the fact that his life energy was the source holding the barrier together. However, this situation was ideal for Belmod as now it was the perfect time for him to use his very own special ability, which was energy transfer. Each god of destruction was granted a unique skill developed by the Grand Priest himself. Each skill was assigned to a god and upon master, only they themselves can perform it, excluding the angels. Belmod had the ability to transfer ki to any individual of his choosing. Also, his ability wasn't limited to just regular ki, he could also transfer god ki as well. This means that Belmod can make a regular mortal become a god, but that's only for a short period of time. However, if such an individual was able to control and master such a divine ki in that short time span, then no time limit would be placed on that individual and they can generate god ki whenever they wish. But in this case, Belmod ki was being used to perform a different role since Sidra already mastered god ki. This time, Sidra was using Belmod's energy to replenish his own and to restore the barrier to its former glory while granting it immense strength and durability at the same times. "Well done," said Champa. "Who knew your ability was so useful?" Outside of the barrier, Gohan could sense the barrier increasing in strength at a gradual pace. "These gods just don't know when to quit," said Gohan. "Okay, it's time I finish this." But it was at that moment, the ever-so-menacing Broly charged forward. The entire Dragon Ball fandom could tell that Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Broly meant business. His right hand began to curl up into a fist and with a huge wound up, he launched a catastrophic blow to the barrier, completely shattering its core. "Gohan, stop wasting time. We need to get rid of them now," said Broly as a dreadful look fell upon his face. "What, you again?" said Sidra. "Jiren has fallen." However, in an instant before another word was spoken, Broly vanishes while Goku in his Ultra Instinct 3 form had tagged himself in from above. This combo wasn't planned, but it was premeditated as Broly could sense exactly where Goku was and what he was about to do. "Above us," said Gin as Goku had launched a full-power Kamehameha down at the gods. The beams travel at speed beyond light as it shines down at the gods, ready to wipe them from existence. Suddenly, something happened that didn't come as a surprise to Goku as it was well within the scope of his plan. All the gods of destruction who were initially targeted had narrowly vanished out of the way before they were swallowed by the blast. However, one of the gods didn't realize that the blast was intended to target him due to the fact that he had his hands full fighting Vegeta. Unfortunately for him, he noticed a bit too late. That unlucky fellow was Liquor as on impact. The blast had completely vaporized his entire being and body, leaving no trace of his body nor clothes that could be used to validate his existence. But, to everyone's surprise, only his head had remained. Goku coldly stares down, knowing that a part of his job is now done, and now not with even the slightest sign of remorse. Vegeta, who was below, slowly walks over and disrespectfully steps on Liquor's lifeless head that was laying on the ground. "Behold the death that shall follow all of you gods," said Vegeta. This fox had gotten what he deserved, now it's your turn. Soon, Vegeta just as calmly ever places his hand out, and using his perfectly destructive energy creating his own ball of Hakai as he looks down at Liquor one last time before saying, "Not even death is enough for you, fox," as he proceeds to fire the ball of destruction energy, completely vaporizing the last remains of the god who was known as Liquor. "Liquor is gone for good," said Hellas as an instant realization formulated in her head. His death had shocked the gods back into reality. It was then and there that they realized that this was a kill or be killed situation. In an instant, all the gods' bodies were completely covered in destruction energy, signaling that things were about to get difficult for the Saiyans. However, it was around that time Jiren had stolen the spotlight once more by using his ki to destroy every single rocks that had fallen on him when he had collided in the mountain. "Where is that monkey?" said a beaten and battered Jiren as he could be seen gasping for air. Our story continues with a furious Jiren, angrily strolling forward, his eyes darting all over the arena as he impatiently scans the harsh environment in search of Broly. "Where could that monkey be hiding?" said a tempered Jiren as his face exhibits a puzzled expression. "I will not stand for such humiliation. I was hoping that my fight with the Saiyans would be interesting just as before, but never have I once expected that this would be the outcome." Jiren was not only puzzled, his mind was in disarray. After using up so much energy, it was hard for him to comprehend the fact that he hadn't managed to land a single blow. "No," said Jiren as he continued to utter to himself. "I will not allow my efforts and training with the angel to all be for nothing. It's time I show these Saiyans the fruits of my labor." Suddenly, the entire realm began to tremble under the breath of Jiren's roar. His rage and ki was out of this universe as the radiant angelic ki began to run mad, burning everything within its grasp. The heat that was being generated from within Jiren's soul was emanating an angelic ki different but similar in many ways to that of the angels. Not even Ultra Instinct 3 Goku was able to fully withstand its dangerous force as Jiren's ki had forced Goku to jump back, while also placing his arm over his face in effort to protect his eyes from the vicious heat and light spread out in the atmosphere. Suddenly, to the viewer's surprise, the entire arena surface began to split apart, leaving huge crumbles of rocks falling down into the abyss only to be transported among the different universes. However, Goku wasn't the only Saiyan to feel Jiren's power, as Beast Gohan had to teleport above the perimeter of the arena, in hopes of giving himself some distance from Jiren's destructive energy. Vegeta and Broly, who were within proximity of Jiren's ki, somehow weren't affected in the slightest. Both Saiyans didn't even feel the need to evacuate due to the fact that they didn't feel threatened, and this was because they were aware that Goku's angelic staff was within the vicinity. While they were fully prepared to face Jiren's overwhelming ki head-on, they stood strong in the exact spot without moving an inch, while Jiren's ki mysteriously passed around them, traveling at tremendous speed in the direction of the staff. A while back in episode 19, before the fight between the Saiyans and the gods had started, Goku had activated the staff's siphon ability, before he silently sent it off in the distance, but not before giving it a few simple instructions, one of which was to continuously absorb all the excess ki that was wasted from the fight that somehow looked inevitable. This was sent out as a plan B for the Saiyans, a way to replenish their energy and stamina if they somehow were forced to use it all up. Back on the battlefield, both Vegeta and Broly were within the staff's 50-mile radius, therefore, all the extra ki that had managed to find its way within that area was completely absorbed by Goku's staff, and the Saiyans had used this exploit to protect themselves in the process. The two Saiyans were confident that facing Jiren's overwhelming ki head-on would never pose an issue for them. However, they simply decided that it wasn't worth burning the extra energy. Suddenly, with the camera focusing back on Jiren, a new form of divine technique was attained. This came as a surprise to the Saiyans, as they never once thought that Jiren would travel down such a path. Instantly, as the smoke and dust dissipates, Ultra Instinct Jiren was born, as a reddish angelic ki that could be seen and felt by everyone shines bright, as the aura radiating off the Pride Trooper's body was downright terrifying. "What?" said Goku as he was left looking shocked, questioning himself to see if he had just witnessed a ghost. Gohan, who was above the arena, was completely caught off guard as he was not able to comprehend the sight of an Ultra Instinct Jiren. "You've got to be kidding me," said Goku. Jiren had mastered Ultra Instinct. He was a demon without it. There's no telling how powerful he had gotten now that he had attained the angelic technique. However, from the far corner of the arena, a super confident Vegeta could be heard by everyone laughing tirelessly as a malicious smirk fell upon his face. "It would seem that you had a little more in the tank, Jiren," said Vegeta. "But it's such a shame that that little display of strength isn't going to change the result of the fight. I don't care if you have mastered Ultra Instinct, you're still going to die." "You talk too much," said Jiren as with speed less than nanosecond, the angelic warrior instantly vanishes and reappears directly above a composed Vegeta with the intent to kill. With his arms swirling back, he unleashes a powerful punch at Vegeta, but in an instant, Vegeta somehow manages to dodge in the nick of time, yelling back, "Surely this isn't the limit to your powers, Jiren," before he proceeds to unleash the full force of his Ultra Ego 3 form upon the world. Feast your eyes on the true power of the mighty Prince Vegeta as he vanished from existence. Almost immediately after vanishing, with speed beyond light, Vegeta lounges in at the Pride Trooper. However, Jiren's increase in power had allowed him to track Vegeta's chaotic movements. Suddenly, as if he had never left, Vegeta was up close and personal in Jiren's face, while he delivered a point-blank range blast to the face of Jiren, sending him flying back. "Impressive speed," said Jiren as he continued to spiral back mid-air. It would seem that his speed was too great, leaving no time for the automated self-reaction of Ultra Instinct to be activated. However, the combo wasn't finished as Vegeta's eyes had locked on to Jiren like a missile trying to locate its target. "Now this is unfortunate," said Vegeta as he continued to smirk at the Pride Trooper. "And here I thought Kakarot and Gohan was the only two mortal who had mastered Ultra Instinct, but it looks like you're still quite a few levels behind him in terms of raw power and using it to its full potential." "What are you even saying, Vegeta?" said Jiren. "I've already unlocked its full potential." With almost heaven-like reaction, Jiren moves in for the kill, instinctively launching a blow that lands flush on Vegeta's cheeks, sending the Saiyan moving slightly but not too far. While Jiren, interesting, does not continue his assault. Blood starts to gush from the Saiyan's mouth before a familiar smile begins to make out on his face. "Yes, Jiren, hit me more, I'm only going to get stronger." Vegeta's spirit fission was now in effect, allowing him to increase his powers every time a hit had landed. However, from the far corner of the arena, Goku grows impatient of watching. Seeing Vegeta throw down with Jiren had sparked an interest in Goku's eyes. "It's about time I get a chance to fight," said Goku before dropping to the arena surface. "What?" said a confused Vegeta. "Kakarot, have you gone mad? Can't you see the fight's just getting interesting?" "I'm sorry, Vegeta, but this is something I really need to resolve. Hopefully you can understand just this once." "Do you think this is a game?" said an angelic Jiren who stood in rage after realizing that the Saiyans weren't taking him seriously. The warrior had a flashback to the Tournament of Power when everyone feared the very ground he walked on, not daring to take their eyes off him for a minute. This thought had caused the Pride Trooper to burst with rage before he spoke. "So be it, I don't mind getting my rematch based on how our last fight ended. Furthermore, it doesn't matter who fights, all of you will fall by my hands, so you're just delaying the inevitable." Jiren's choice of words had infuriated Vegeta, but having understood one's need to settle their differences, he powered down, allowing Goku the opportunity to settle his issue like a proud Saiyan warrior would. However, he wasn't simply going to watch from the sidelines without having a little fun of his own. Just like a sniper, his gaze quickly locked on to the remaining 9 gods of destruction. Both Broly and Gohan would have picked on this and decided not to interfere with their battle while they too target the gods. Suddenly, like a ray of light, Jiren bursts out in rage, increasing his energy to its max, while he proceeds to release his full angelic potential. Every ounce of his strength was released as the entire realm was covered under the stifling breath of his ki. Suddenly, the dangerous Jiren walks slowly toward Goku with the intent to have a fight. Goku looks back with no emotion, as if Jiren's display of power didn't faze him in the slightest. While both warriors' eyes manage to interlock, in an instant the fight begins with both warriors charging in at each other. Blows after blows were exchanged and Jiren was starting to feel as if they were on equal grounds. With a powerful strike, Jiren swung at Goku, however Goku managed to block with little effort. The look on Jiren's face changes as he soon realized that Goku was holding back, so with a sneak move, he silently realized a blast while Goku was focused on him. They had caught Goku off guard and sent the Saiyan colliding with the planet's surface. Jiren smirked as he was starting to regain his confidence. "Now, things are going to work out differently from what happened in the Tournament of Power," said Jiren. "You showed me mercy once, but I'm not so merciful, your faith to die right here and now by my hands." However, after hearing Jiren chant, Goku quickly rose to his feet and spoke. "I don't need any mercy from the likes of you, Jiren. I'm only challenging you just to settle a score. Furthermore, you shouldn't be acting so cocky. After all, I'm leagues ahead of you in this Ultra Instinct game." Goku's detrimental words had struck a nerve, leaving the once calm, cool, and collective Jiren to act out of his character. Almost instantly, a ray of projectiles was quickly fired off directly at the Saiyan. With tremendous speed, the blast targets its prey like a gun, and with pinpoint accuracy, the barrage of ki blasts explodes on contact. This forces Goku to guard as he instinctively glances up, realizing that Jiren was preparing to end the fight with one final attack. Immediately after realizing this, Ultra Instinct 3 Goku hurriedly fires off a Kamehameha of his own. Both beams had collided with each other, causing a huge gust of wind and force to burst out in the universe. Both warriors appeared to be on equal footing, before Jiren chose to crank up the heat. As the power of the blast rapidly increased, Goku's Kamehameha was being forced back at him, causing the Saiyan to struggle as he tried his best to maintain control. Suddenly, both the Saiyans and God could feel the huge explosion as Jiren had managed to overwhelm Goku, and in doing so, Goku tragically felt the entire impact of that explosion. As the camera focuses back on the Pride Trooper, a smile begins to break out on his face. "Serves you right," said Jiren. But before he could finish his statement, an undamaged Goku lunges out from the smoke and dust directly at him. Jiren was stunned as he instinctively dodged Goku's attack while he himself jumped back in the fight. However, something came as a shock to Jiren as he felt his abdomen being struck by what looks like opposing shockwaves, forcing the Pride Trooper to counter. The fight looks to be evenly matched as both warriors evenly exchanged blows after blows. Immediately while Goku was mid-air, on top of his Ultra Instinct 3, he decided to activate his Kaioken ×10 while he dropped to the planet's surface, catching Jiren with a powerful blow to the stomach, knocking the warrior out of his Ultra Instinct form. "You've put on a valiant effort," said Goku. "However, it's exactly as I said before, I'm leagues ahead of you. Now accept your fate." Suddenly, like Thor reaching for his hammer, Goku stretched out his arm, and almost instantly the staff recognized its master command, while quickly appearing in Goku's hands. Jiren was fastened to the ground as that last attack from Goku had completely knocked the stamina out of him. "No, not again," said Jiren, as all he can do is talk due to the fact that his body was completely drained of its energy, leaving just enough to survive. "I'm defeated again, how disgraceful." Suddenly realization struck as Jiren's eyes began to close as if he had accepted his fate. At that precise moment, Goku placed the glowing staff above Jiren's head while he spoke these few words. "You're indeed powerful, Jiren, however this is simply not your fight. Teleport him back to his universe."
The tragic death of Liquor and the swift defeat of Jiren had left all the gods in an unfavorable state. These course of events had reinforced the gods' mental mind frame, forcing them to approach the situation with extreme caution. Jiren was beaten, and their numbers advantage began to dwindle. After witnessing the Saiyans in all their might, any chance of triumph was starting to seem hopeless. "What now?" asked Champa, realizing that all of their strategies had ended in failure. Your champion Jiren had fallen, and quite easily at that. Belmont was enraged. His hatred was at its peak, bulging out destruction energy like never before. His thoughts were scattered as he soon started to worry about what both the Omni King and the Grand Priest might do to him and his universe, if he couldn't successfully accomplish the orders that were bestowed upon him. "The fight isn't over just yet," replied a defiant Belmont before locking eyes with Goku once more. "Saiyan, as I have told you before, there's absolutely no way in hell I'll let you kill me. I'm a god, the only god of destruction in Universe 11, and I've been fighting and killing enemies for millions of years now. There is no way that I can perish at the hands of a mortal." However, far off in the distance to Goku's right, the gods of destruction from Universe 1 and 5 continue to attack Ultra Ego 3 Vegeta. "I have to stop him," said Iwan. "The pressure he's emitting is intense, but I have no choice. If I don't stop him now, then the Omni King will erase my entire universe. I can't allow that to happen. I will not allow all that to happen." "Ark, get on your feet," said Iwan. "Don't freeze up on me now. Regardless of how strong he is still a mortal. Loosen up your body and trust that our abilities and millennia of experience are enough to stop him." Iwan and Ark could be seen carefully marking their distance to Vegeta. Their attempt to ambush the Saiyans had failed miserably, so did their champion Jiren. Having recognized and felt what seemed to be Vegeta's true strength, both gods decided to be patient. From separate angles, they watched Vegeta like a hawk, while trying to formulate a strategy with the goal of cracking through Vegeta's defenses. Suddenly, the gods began to increase the pace at which their energy was being regulated. Their energy constantly rose higher and higher as the entire arena was immersed in destruction energy. This was the full power of the gods, Their radiant purple color aura dispersed throughout the universe as every planet in the vicinity was completely destroyed. Within seconds, both gods' bodies were swallowed up with destruction energy that was far more potent and toxic than ever before. The gods were in battle mode, ready to fight as a more superior look began to make out on their faces. Vegeta, on the other hand, was composed. With a face that lacks any real emotions, he spoke. "Tell me this god, was that pitiful display of strength supposed to scare me?" While he confidently levitated above the arena surface with his arms folded, as if he wasn't fazed in the slightest. "Let me show you what true power looks like." Instantly, Vegeta started to charge up laser-like projectiles coated with destruction energy, but this wasn't any ordinary destruction blast, as by channeling energy to his fingertips, he was able to launch a technique that was forgotten throughout Dragon Ball history. "Final impact," yelled Vegeta while beams packed with compact concentrated destruction energy rapidly target the gods at speed beyond light. "Move now," said Arc, having sensed Vegeta's attack was too powerful to block. Impressively, both gods somehow managed to evade Vegeta's attack. "That was too close for comfort," said Arc. "If that had hit the ground, who knows what it would have done." However, what the gods didn't know was that Vegeta had mastered the technique in which one can control his own ki, even after being released. With one single finger adjustment, a single beam was back on target. "Look out," yelled Arc while rushing in hopes of saving Iwan. However, his speed wasn't enough. Iwan instinctively tries to evade, but his reflexes couldn't keep up with its tremendous speed, leaving Vegeta's beam to pierce his chest. Iwan's face was distorted as he felt the moment a huge hole opened in the center of his chest. The pain was agonizing to bear. Blood gushed from his mouth and chest like a fountain while his eyes began to close. Instantly after sustaining damage from attack, his motionless body dangerously fell from the sky to the arena surface, but, at that precise moment, Arc had finally managed to arrive in time, catching his fellow god's body before it collided with the ground. "You had no idea, did you? For years, I had the power of a destroyer god, and after a full century of training, I am now far beyond powers that you could ever dream of." "That's impossible," said Arc. "You don't look a day over 50, even though Saiyans have long lifespans, you should still be aging. Unlike us deities, you weren't blessed by the Omni King. Before the decision was made to imprison Son Goku, the gods had checked the room of knowledge on the history of the Saiyan, and upon many discoveries, they learned that a pure-blood Saiyan can live to reach age 200, however, in recent times, none had ever managed to live so long simply because of the constant fighting to gain resources and also life-inflicted battle wounds." Vegeta confidently laughs. "This may come as a surprise to you gods, but the Super Dragon Ball aren't the only wishing spheres in existence. We too have a much smaller and weaker version on Earth, and anyone whether mortal or deity can use it, which we eventually did." Back in Episode 7, when Master Roshi and Piccolo had come to drop off some food for the Saiyans, Son Gohan had asked Piccolo to make a wish, asking Shenron to increase their lifespan for an extra 100 years. This was to make sure that after spending a century in the Room of Time, the years they trained there and the lifespan increase they had wished for would cancel out each other, seeing that time moves differently outside of the hyperbolic time chamber. Gohan was a very smart boy. His well-thought-out calculation had been made with the intention of growing old and dying with his family. So even though they were actually over the age of 100, the extra 100 years increase in lifespan would make their aging process a lot slower, seeing that it would now be considered as natural aging. Suddenly, something phenomenal began to happen. Iwan's body had began repairing itself at a subatomic level. Each god of destruction was blessed with a divine skill, a special ability bestowed upon them by the Grand Priest himself. A glimmer of hope quickly breaks out on Arc's face as he instantly realizes what was happening. "Temporal healing," yelled Arc. The one-time ability to return one's own body to a state before it had suffered any damages. Within seconds, Iwan's body and being was fully healed. "How dare you," yelled Arc as an angry demeanor could be seen upon his terrifying gaze. "You had me worried there for a second," said Arc. "I had thought that because you were struck down with destruction energy, your ability wouldn't take effect. That ability of yours is truly something, unlike mine." Vegeta was stunned. His mind was puzzled as he kept questioning the god's special abilities. You gods are full of surprises. I'm starting to believe that all of you gods possess some type of special abilities of some sorts. However, the next time I kill you, I'll just make sure that not even a single cell of you remains." Iwan was furious, and so was Ark. With confidence they stood firmly to their feet, emitting a power that was unknown to man. With speed less than nanosecond, they bravely charge in at the Saiyan from opposite directions, attempting to strike from Vegeta's blind spot with the intention of landing a killing blow. Ark was the first to attack, while Iwan dropped from above with an attack of his own. However, Ultra Ego Vegeta was simply too powerful, as he simultaneously grabbed both of the god's fists, before effortlessly throwing them back in the direction they came. "Surely you can do much better than that after coming back to life," said Vegeta as he continues to mock the gods. Ark had taken the most damage as he was sent crashing into a huge mountain of rocks, while Iwan had managed to regain his balance after being tossed in the dark night sky above the arena. "Ark, are you okay?" yelled Iwan before instantly vanishing and reappearing beside the fallen god. "He's too powerful. If I'm being honest, I don't see a clear path to victory for us, unless you use your special ability." "Don't even mention it," said Ark. "You know that I am forever forbidden to use that ability. Furthermore, my ability is only triggered upon my death, and it's not a death that I can simply regenerate from like you Iwan. The last time this happened, I was able to rejoin the land of the living, thanks to my angel Kukatail. However, this time I'm not sure they'll be so kind once again." "We're running out of options," said Iwan. But before he could finish his statement, he was cut short by Ark. "Here he comes," as Vegeta instantly vanished before their eyes. "Where is he?" yelled Iwan while proceeding to scan the surroundings in search of the Saiyan. Suddenly, Vegeta appears and delivers a rock-solid punch to the face of Iwan, forcing the god to cough up blood. However, Iwan didn't back down easily as he launched a powerful blow of his own to the Saiyan's stomach, but unfortunately this did nothing to Vegeta. "No way," yelled Iwan. "I put everything I had into that attack. He's on a whole different level." Suddenly, the Saiyan looks down with a scheming smile on his face. "Come now, you have to do better than that." Instantly, Vegeta was on the attack. His speed and power was legendary as Iwan's body was suffering under multiple rapid speed blows from Vegeta. Immediately, the god shouted out in agony, seeing that Vegeta wasn't leaving any room for escape. Vegeta's last attack had sent the god crashing to the arena surface. The collision of his body and the ground had created an opposing force that split the core of the ring. "So, this is what it looks like to see a being completely mastered destruction energy," said Iwan as his body was too damaged to move. "This mortal is unbelievably strong. No one I've ever fought comes close to this guy. Nothing I do even phases him, but I can't simply just give up. If I do that, then my entire universe will be erased. Get up, Iwan, get up." Impressively, the god began to force his way on his feet. Upon seeing the god stumbled a few times, it was clear to Vegeta that he had nothing left to offer. Suddenly a familiar voice spoke, while instantly appearing in front of Iwan. "Stay back, my friend. I'll handle this," yelled Ark as he turned his back to Iwan, ready to take on Vegeta by himself. Immediately, the god's power began to increase at an astronomical pace. Ark was now desperate to protect his friend, and that sudden need to help had caused him to shatter his limits and gain even greater strength than ever before. "With this power, your life ends here." However, a sorry voice from behind him spoke. "That power isn't enough. I'm sorry, Ark." Before plunging his hands into Ark back directly in the position of where his heart is located. Suddenly, tears began to fall from Iwan's eyes as he proceeded to grip the god's heart. "How could you?" yelled Ark, not once anticipating this level of betrayal. "Grasp heart." Instantly, after saying those two key words, the special ability activates on the spot, sucking almost all the god ki out of Iwan into Ark's body, creating an undead being known exclusively to Ark's race. This was the creation of something extraordinary, a being that possesses power equal to, if not greater than, the angels. Millions of years ago, way before there was even a god of destruction, the Omni King had created the demon race, only they were evil in nature. Ark was a member of that demon race, a descendant of the 18 primordial demons created by the Omni King to serve alongside the angels in each existing universe with the goal of maintaining balance. This decision had led to countless battles, which resulted in death on both sides, causing the Omni King to erase Universe 13 to 18, seeing that all the angels from those universe were dead. The demon race possessed one fundamental ability that made them a direct threat to the angel. This ability was known as Dark Siphoning, the ability to steal God keys when damage is taken. The more damage, the greater their strength increased. This ability alone had led to some demons becoming stronger than the angels and led them to believe that they had the power to overthrow the Omni King. The Omni King had gotten wind of this, and so the demon race was deemed to be a failed experiment, and was set to be erased on the spot. But before they were erased, the demons had devised a plan, a way to get revenge on the deities even after their deaths. All of the God Key that was stolen from the angels along with their own was sealed away in the first child to be born in the demon race. That child was Ark. However, to inherit all that power, a few specific criteria need to be met. The person must be dead, also their heart must be removed from their body or destroyed. This was devised so that Ark's decisions couldn't be influenced. When all the demons were erased, only one remained. This was left as a mystery to the deities, having no understanding as to why the Omni King eraser didn't work on a demon child. Only the Omni King and the Grand Priest knew the answer, and so they decided to keep it among themselves. They had decided to raise Ark as they had the perfect role for him to fill, creating the first ever god of destruction. In this state, Ark is considered to be an undead. His mind was being flooded with memories from the past, creating pure rage and hatred for everything in existence. "What was that?" yelled Goku as all the God Key in the area was being absorbed by Ark. Suddenly, the battle had come to a stop, leaving everyone to face where the enormous energy was coming from. "Did the Grand Priest arrive?" yelled Gohan. "Shit, we are out of time. Iwin, what have you unleashed upon the multiverse?" said Belmont as he could only steer in disbelief. Suddenly, from above, the battle was being watched in a crystal ball, but this time by none other than the Grand Priest himself, making his first appearance since he intruded on the gods' secret meeting. As he looked down with a dark look of disapproval and spoke. "Zeno-sama, remind me, when exactly do you want me to do something about this? The fight has gotten out of hand and now an ancient demon has been unleashed on the multiverse." To which we then finally see Zeno, with a blank and lifeless expression like any we have ever seen before, and he responds. "Not yet, not just yet." Demon Iraq powers had increased significantly from when he was a baby. His known strength was fearsome and his divine aura was stifling. Iraq's adult body was fully developed and packed with years of fighting and tactical experience. The demon god's power and abilities have multiplied tenfold, pushing him well beyond what any member of his race had ever been able to achieve. The sudden mixed surge of power had covered the entire Null realm, causing the Saiyans to sense two different waves of aura dispersed out in space. This sudden level of power forced Gohan into believing that the angels were about to make a grand entrance. "We might be out of time," said Gohan. "I can feel the key of an angel, which means the Grand Priest might be coming." However, moments later, Goku had recognized that both energy signals were being poured out of one being. "No," said Goku, "all that power is coming from him. But the question is why? Why is a destruction god emitting an angelic key? It doesn't make any sense." Tensions were up as the Saiyans grew more eager by the second. The key they were sensing was quite similar to that of a destruction god and that of an angel, only it was far more potent, powerful and terrifying. In that very instant, dimension portals began to open and close all over the multiverse. The fabric of time and space was being ripped apart as a divine entity had just been born. "Vegeta, I strongly believe that you should take this being seriously," said Goku. "I'm not entirely sure what just happened, but my gut is telling me that this being is not the same person he was before. Something mysterious is at work here and I don't like it." "Shut up, Kakarot, I'm not stupid, it's quite obvious based on his transformation. Stronger he had become. I have to test my strength against him." Unexpectedly, Vegeta sneers while pointing in the direction of demon god Iraq. "Let's see if you're as powerful as you look." Suddenly, a ball of destructive energy emerged out of nowhere in an instant. "It needs more," said Vegeta as he continued to pour a huge amount of his destruction energy inside the ball, forcing it to rapidly increase in size and strength. "Don't bother dodging," said Vegeta. "Show me why I should fear you." Immediately Vegeta had thrown an enormous ball of destruction energy directly towards demon god Iraq, who had not moved an inch. The expression on his face harbors a look of pure hatred as he scans the multiverse in search of the Omni King while being reluctant to pay Vegeta any sort of attention. Vegeta's blast closed the gap in a matter of seconds, and upon impact, the enormous ball of destruction energy had mysteriously vanished, leaving no trace of its existence in the multiverse. This had surprised everyone, including the Saiyans. His attack had mysteriously vanished, leaving many questions to be asked. Vegeta's attack wasn't just any ordinary attack. The blast was stuffed with so much power that it would take someone who is at least angel level and above to stop such an attack. Nevertheless, this feat had given the Saiyans an idea as to how strong Demon Arak might be and what sort of power is needed to defeat him. The fight had stopped a good while now, and immediately, the three Saiyans had regrouped. Vegeta was excluded as he was more determined than ever to find out what happened to his energy. "Father," said Gohan, "please tell me you saw what just happened. A powerful energy such as that can't simply just vanish without a trace." Goku's attention was focused on the battlefield. He steered intensely as the only thing that came to mind was, Eraser. Only this ability was excessive to the Omni King. No being in existence should possess such an ability. "I've seen this at the Tournament of Power, when Zeno erased all the universes," said Goku. "Somehow this reminded me of that time. He might possess a similar ability to the Omni King, if not the same. This is bad. If his ability is anywhere as strong or similar to the Omni King, we are in serious trouble." "What?" said Gohan as he showcased a look of pure confusion while looking back at Goku. "Father, you can't be serious. I remember Whis telling us a while back that the Omni King is the only entity which possesses such ability." "I sense nothing," said Vegeta as with an inside voice, he mutters to himself. "What was that? My attack suddenly vanished, but how? Did he disperse my energy? No, that's not it. I would have sensed it scattered throughout the null realm, but somehow I sense nothing." Vegeta's mind began to dwindle as he couldn't figure out what just happened. He had even thought about teleportation, but he knows that even if the blast was teleported, once it had exploded, immediately he would have sensed it as a blast that power would cause tremor to occur no matter where it had landed. Abruptly, without warning, Ultra Instinct 3 Goku instantly powered up, his entire body covered in the powerful aura of the angels, and with speed less than nanosecond, he vanished before Gohan's eyes and suddenly reappeared above Demon God Arak, ready to use one of the most overpowered attacks in the history of Dragon Ball. After being blindsided by Goku, Vegeta remembered what had happened when Goku jumped in and finished Frieza. "Kakarot, you glory hog," yelled Vegeta. "You begged me to let you fight Jiren, and now you're trying to interfere in my fight again." Realizing the threat that Vegeta made was oblivious to Goku, at the blink of an eye Goku had thrown Krillin's signature technique directly at Arak. 5 deadly Destructo discs that were made solely from God Ki instantly and viciously target the Demon God. However, Demon God Arak wasn't threatened in the slightest. All 5 Destructo discs had completely vanished from existence just as quickly as Vegeta's ball of destruction did, leaving no residual ki to be found. "He's way too powerful to be a god of destruction," replied Vegeta. "Something crazy is going on with his ki. It reeks of anger and vengeance." Goku and Vegeta's actions were effective in diverting Arak's focus. The demon god for the time being was no longer focusing on the Omni King. His attention was shifted to everyone on the battlefield as his appetite for God Ki grew even further. "Iwan," yelled an angry Belmont. "What have you done? You've killed us all, everyone. If you value your lives, leave now. That is no longer Arak. What remains is an undead whose thirst for God Ki will consume him." "Don't worry," said Iwan. "His appearance may have changed, but that's still Arak. He's on our side. Those Saiyans won't know what hit them." "I don't know about that," replied Champa as he nervously looked up at Demon Arak, who still hasn't moved an inch. "All I can see is a being filled with hatred, not to mention his aura. It feels like the angels, only much darker." "Belmont is right. I think we should leave and report back to the Grand Priest." "That's not possible," said Geen. "We are stuck here. It seems you've forgotten that upon the Saiyans' arrival, the Grand Priest had blocked all forms of teleportation outside of the Null Realm. No one leaves until he says so." However, before the gods who were arguing ended, Ultra Ego 3 Vegeta charges in at the demon with godlike speed. "Word soul magic. Get back," said Arak. Unexpectedly to everyone, Ultra Ego 3 Vegeta was sent crashing to the arena surface. "That's impossible. He hasn't even touched me, said Vegeta as he instantly sprang back to his feet from the crumbles of rock. Could he be time skipping just like Hit in Universe 6? No, that's not it. As I am now, I'm light years beyond that technique. His ki is immense, said Gohan, but it doesn't feel friendly. It's almost like an untraceable blade. However, from what I've witnessed so far, his speech is the real weapon here. Suddenly, all eyes began to focus on Demon God Urarok as for the second time ever, he spoke out loud. I can sense that all you people possess very powerful God keys. I must have it all if I'm to kill the Omni King. Fight me with everything you've got, mortal, because if you don't, you will definitely die. Suddenly, a dangerous Vegeta had confidently taken his battle stance. Feeling disrespected, he launched himself off at Urarok. The surface on which he stood cracked as within speed less than a tenth of a second, the ground couldn't hold itself together. In an instant, he had closed the distance between them both. Gripping his fist firmly, a powerful blow landed directly in the demon god's face, throwing his body violently across the entire arena, taking down every single mountain upon collision. Vegeta could be seen standing confident as a proudful emotions began to show on his face. Serves you right for mocking a Saiyan's prince's powers. Demon God Urarok was on his knees, his head face down as if he had conceived defeat, but, even after receiving such a mighty blow, he kept on smiling. Finally the god was able to make it back to his feet, but not before directing a few words of his own towards Vegeta. You ain't shit, even an old lady could hit harder than you. Is that so? Said Vegeta. We'll see about that. Suddenly, the Saiyan had used instant transmission to teleport himself directly in front of the demon god. With his palms open, he raised his hand and above Urarok's face, ready to Hakai him from existence. Behold the power of Hakai, said Vegeta before releasing a huge ball of destruction at point-blank range, swallowing up every single part of the demon god body. Everything that was on the other side of that blast was completely eviscerated. Suddenly, we could hear the demon god yelling as if his very soul was being destroyed. Vegeta began to laugh as he thought that he had won and that the fight was over. However, he was sadly mistaken. Urarok was simply mocking him. The atmosphere is quiet, causing everyone to get impatient. Suddenly, from inside the blast a few words were spoken. Word soul magic, disintegrate, said demon god Urarok. Soon after, the destructive energy blast that was meant to destroy everything it came into contact with, was the one that was disintegrating. Every single molecule and every energy particle that makes up the destruction ki blast had vaporized into thin air. This had not only shocked Vegeta, it had frozen him in his tracks. Impossible, it had no effect on him. No one should be able to survive that. That dreadful technique, if I could just find a way to stop him from using it somehow? Vegeta began to think, something we've never really seen him do frequently. If that's a technique or an ability, it has to have a weakness, and I'm going to find it. Suddenly, the smoke and dust clears. Beyond it, a familiar grin began to showcase once more. What's the matter? Did you think that would work? In an instant, Demon Urarok charges in at Vegeta, leaving no room for errors. Blows for blows were exchanges, with Vegeta having the upper hand, catching the demon god off guard with a few devastating punches. Goku, Gohan and Broly looked up in anticipation. Their faces had a look of seriousness as their eyes wavered on the battlefield, looking intensely at the fight. Something is wrong, said Goku. Each punch Vegeta landed is starting to have less effect on him. What do you mean, father? I'm not entirely sure, but somehow he's gaining more strength even after being bad beaten. The planet on which the arena was on was showing signs of exploding. Their speed and power was incredible. Every blow was thrown with the intent to kill. The two fighters began to teleport all over the arena while continuing to fight. Suddenly, Vegeta had connected a powerful blow, sending the demon crashing to the arena surface once more, only this time Urarok was spitting blood. The god of destruction was surprised to see Vegeta dominating the fight. Could he be winning? Said Holes. I don't know, said Mule. I was told by my angel that if Urarok was to be killed and his heart was to be removed, he would unlock tremendous power. Suddenly, Ultra Ego 3 Vegeta drops to the ground. His hands were folded, giving off a look of superiority. You're surprisingly strong, and you gain a huge increase in power far beyond Lord Beerus's Akari transformation, but you're still no match for me. From the ground, the demon god slowly began to stand on his feet. Feeling energized, he spoke. You're naive, I'm gaining on you. At that moment, The demon god suddenly appeared behind Vegeta in the blink of an eye, delivering a rock-solid chop to the neck of the Saiyan before grabbing his head and plunging it to the ground. "I told you," said demon god Arak. Vegeta would try to counter-delivery blows of his own, only he soon realized that every blow he landed, demon Arak grew even stronger. "Damn it, he's learning as he fights," said Gohan as fold his fight in anger. "Hit me, boy, I can take everything you throw at me." Vegeta had accepted the invitation, and with speed beyond light, over 1,000 blows had successfully landed on the target. The pain demon Arak felt was excruciating, however in less than a minute, all that pain was replaced with power. On the other hand, Vegeta was exhausted, and at that moment, mysteriously, he drops from the level of Ultra Ego 3 back down to Ultra Ego.